It might be a bit presumptuous to get this list out before UFC Shanghai Shadow of Mordor takes place this weekend. But with the lack of names on that card and the glut of action earlier in the month, we're doing this now. If you feel anyone has been grossly underrepresented, hit me up in the comments and I'll tell you why your subjective opinion is wrong. There was no way around putting GSP in this month. While the belt is an off-brand replica of the one adorning the actual best middleweight in the world, Robert Whittaker, St Pierre's work in winning a second title after a 4-year layoff is unheard of in mixed martial arts. Working against one of MMA's better jabbers, GSP's own jab still looked sensational and he played with timing and expectation perfectly. He struggled to keep Bisping down and to work his usual guard passing game, but just as he seemed to be slowing, the man who could never finish a fight somehow found his way to getting his first rear naked choke since 2005. In case you forgot how good George is, there hasn't been a single decent Superman jab in the UFC since he left. 4 years later, he brought it back like he had never taken a day off. Bonus points for adding some spinning shit to his game and using it as Bisping tried to circle along the fence. Dustin Poirier's career transformation has been a fun one to behold. Not only has he gone from possible school shooter to beach hunk in appearance, his game has become a good deal smoother too. The awkward hands high and chin forward banger who got clipped running in against Akira Korosani of all people, has given way to a classier, crisper striker complete with redneck shoulder rolls. Poirier has gained some nuance in his power punching and isn't solely obsessed with working for the knockout. Against the formidable Anthony Pettis, Poirier did a great job of pressuring Pettis to the fence and immediately taking him down, then working him over while he was pressed against the cage. In the moments of the bout that took place on the feet, Poirier looked composed and crafty, eschewing his usual swings and using wide shots to set up linear blows down the centre and vice versa. He isn't untouchable, but he's found ways to look after himself while working on the lead, and that's far more important for a banger of Poirier's hitting ability. I hadn't heard shit about Tai Tuivasa heading into his UFC debut, but from the moment he started mauling his man, I knew he was something to do with Mark Hunt. 2-punch setups, falling into the clinch, and then using both hands in his head underneath his opponent's chin to recover his arms. Elbows on the break, the downward elbow as his opponent ducked in, it was all vintage Hunt. Just like Hunt, he kicks like a mule, and you wish he'd do it more, but the second kick he threw in the fight was enough to take his opponent off his feet and open the door for the flying knee that closed the show. He might not have been fighting the same level of opposition that others on this list were, but he's one to watch for damn sure. Stephen Thompson has a lot to do to convince people that he deserves another crack at Tyron Woodley's title, but he gave it the old college try when he fought Jorge Masvidal earlier this month. Masvidal normally drops decisions because he gets complacent and doesn't push the advantage enough, but he has always been a defensive cutie who is hard to hit with a handful of rice. Thompson, who struggled so much to go on the lead against Tyron Woodley, managed to get in and out with darting straight blows, and that beautiful dart pause sidekick made a couple of appearances too, which is probably the easiest way for someone who doesn't fight in a bladed Bill Wallace stance to implement the sidekick in their game. A very solid offensive performance from a fighter who had gained a reputation for being timid on the lead. The absolute top boy this month is Rose Namajunas. Writing a preview of this fight at Vice, I noted that Rose might not be as scary as Jessica Andrade or Claudia Gadelha, but she at least brings something different in her style. Gadelha, Kowalkiewicz, and Andrade were all lanced up by Jędrzejczyk's jab because they were constantly pursuing her and giving her the target. When Rose came out against Joanna, she maintained the range, feinted and faked, and drew Joanna into clumsy misses, capitalising with nice low kicks. Constant feinting and the ability to close and open the distance quickly when she wanted to allowed Namajunas to be out of range when Jed is attacked, and in on top of the champion when she thought nothing was coming. Some are writing this fight off as a fluke, and I would have loved to see it play out over more rounds, but the fact that Joanna threw 45 strikes and landed just 5 should tell you that Namajunas had her lashing out at shadows. By far the biggest underdog on this list, and easily the best showing for good scientific striking, Namajunas was my top fighter for November.